5.7 is my favorite one of these lessons because if you noticed up till now when we're dividing decimals, the Go Math sheets have just given you perfect numbers as if that happens in real life all the time, but it really doesn't. So they're starting on 5.7, they're starting to give you numbers that don't divide perfectly evenly into each other, like 1.4 divided by 0.7. Those numbers are perfectly compatible. And in 5.7, they start giving you numbers that are not perfectly compatible with each other, and you're going to have a decimal answer. Problem number 1 on 5.7 looks like this. It says 3 divided by 4/10 equals 75. Well, there's supposed to be a decimal here, and you have to decide where it goes. So the first thing I want you to do is rewrite this equation. So when you rewrite that equation, it looks like this. You have the 3 inside the bracket and the 4/10 outside the bracket. You never want to have a decimal as the divisor. So what we're going to do is erase that, which is going to mean I'm making the into a 4. If I turn this into a whole number, I would also have to add a 0 here. Okay, because adding a 0 just means I'm moving a decimal 1 time to the right. So I moved the decimal from the left of the 4 to the right of the 4, and I added a 0, which means I multiplied both of these by 10 is what I did to get that. But for all intents and purposes, you just need to know that you just move the decimal the same amount of times, and that you have to add a 0 if you're moving a decimal to the right in a number like 3. So we know that 4 can't divide evenly into 30. So 4 times 7 is 28. Okay, we've got 7 times 4 is 28. And then we have to subtract and we get 2. Now, in the past we would have had a remainder. That would have been remainder 2, but we don't do remainders anymore in 5th grade. We're going to add a decimal and a 0 here. I'm going to put the decimal up here, and I'm going to bring down that 0 and say 20 divided by 4 is 5. So the place where that decimal goes in number 1 is between the 7 and the 5. This is number 2 rewritten with a bracket, and 8 goes into 25 3 times. 3 times 8 is 24. Then we subtract, we get 1, and we have to bring down the 2. My decimal's already here, so I just bring it straight up. I didn't have to move any decimals in my factors this time, so that was nice because I already had a whole number as my divisor. So 8 can go into 12 1 time, and then 8 times 1 is 8. We've got 4 left over, and we have to add a 0 here to bring down, and we know that 40 can evenly be divided by 8. So, and the answer is 5. And we don't have any remainders because 8 times 5 is 40. This is number 3 rewritten. We know that 25 can go into 62 times. 2 times 25 is 50. If I subtract, I'm going to have 10 left over. And I don't want any leftovers, so I'm going to make a decimal here and a decimal here, add my 0, and bring it down. And 25 can go into 100 perfectly evenly, because 4 times 25 is 100, and we don't have any leftover, so my decimal goes between the 2 and the 4 on number 3. Number 4 is a little trickier because it starts out with a decimal in your divisor, and so you have to change it to a whole number. So in order to change it to a whole number, I move it over twice here, and I move it twice here, and then I can divide by whole numbers. And then I can do 72 goes into 82 1 time, subtract, and get 10, bring down my 8. 72 goes into 108 only 1 times, So I have 72 again. I subtract that and I get 36. Then I have to add a decimal to my answer and a 0 here. So I bring that 0 down, and I know from the numbers that they gave you on number 4, they already gave you a 1, and a 5. So we know that this is going to be a 5. And you're going to place, it just wants you to place the decimal in that one. So you have the numbers, you know the decimal goes here. But we can finish out this problem. 5 times 72 is 360. And then we have 0 left over, which is our goal. And we know where to place our decimal in this problem. That's your homework help for this weekend. I hope it helped you. And I will leave on number 5.7, I will also leave the last 4 problems for you to try to do on your own. I won't count it against you if you don't, but I'd like you to at least try. Hope you're having a good weekend. See you Tuesday.